Welcome back to ChalkTalk, where we take finance, education, entertainment, and wrap them all together for you, the viewer.
To help you better understand the world of finance and business.
And in today's episode, we're going to talk about
the Federal Reserve, rate hikes, and the U.S. economy.
All right. Exactly. So what is the Federal Reserve for our viewers out there at home who might not know?
Well, if you don't know, the Federal Reserve, or AKA the Fed, is the central bank of the United States, and it's governed by a board of governors. The point of it is to provide a stable and flexible monetary and financial system for the country. So some important things to know: it's an independent agency, and its responsibilities are to conduct monetary policy, supervising regulatory banks and other financial institutions, and maintaining the stability of the financial system. And so a lot of people have been asking me, what is the point of the federal interest rate? Because it's been in the news a lot, right?
Quite a bit.
And so basically the interest rate is what banks and other depository institutions use to lend money to each other overnight to meet their reserve requirements set by the Federal Reserve. And how it works is that the Federal Reserve sets target ranges for the rate, and then they use various tools such as buying and selling government securities in the open market, or lowering or raising the federal interest rate, which has an indirect effect on other interest rates. So ultimately, when the federal funds rate goes up, other interest rates tend to go up as well, and vice versa. So another question people have been asking me is, why lower or raise the rates? So the Fed might raise the rate in order to encourage banks to lend money to businesses and consumers at a lower interest rate, which can stimulate borrowing, spending, and boost the economy. And raising the rates makes borrowing more expensive, which can slow down borrowing and spending and prevent the economy from overheating. AKA, right now, our main concern is ding, 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 inflation. The big scary I word here. So I don't know. Inflation seems a little scary. The Fed has been at work. You see them a lot in the news, and people seem to be a little concerned and unsure of what's going on. Another guy that you probably have been seeing in the news, our big buddy up there at the Reserve. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Jay Powell?
Jay Powell, our friend Jerome, making the calls. And some people have been asking me, again, getting a lot of questions lately, who is Jerome Powell and what's the point? What is he doing? Why is he going up on the television and ruining our lives? Well, I don't think we have the right to blame Powell per se, or maybe we do have the right. We can own how we feel, but I mean, he's just doing his job ultimately, right? So What is that? So what do we know about Jerome Powell? He's the current chairman of the Board of Governors of the Financial Reserve System, aka, again, the Fed. And so what's his responsibilities? Well, of course, he plays a crucial role in setting U.S. monetary policy and decision makings on interest rates, lowering or raising them. He oversees regulation of banks and other financial institutions, and he testifies regularly before Congress on the state of the economy and the Federal Reserve's policy decisions, right? So why has Powell been in the news recently? Well, he wants to make borrowing more expensive, which can slow down borrowing and spending and prevent the economy from overheating. To, again, curb inflation. He wants to curb inflation because it's out of control right now. Well, it was out of control.
Yeah, at one point we were, over 9%?
Yeah, we were over 9% at one point, and we've come down pretty well. I mean... Yeah,
we're somewhere around, 4 or 5%?
Yeah, I think 4.98%, but I get back to that. That's based off of March's rates, and right now we're 2 months ahead now. We're 2 months ahead now, yeah. So here's the thing. So interest rates affect inflation because by raising them, he's raising them because he wants to decrease inflation. So raise the rates, decrease inflation. Right. And why? Well, because it causes goods and services to become more expensive because borrowing money becomes more expensive, i.e. it causes consumers to spend less, reduces demand for goods and services. And when the demand goes down, the price goes down. So if the price goes down, we can have more financial stability. People can get paid a fair wage and pay fair prices for goods and services. Mm-hmm. But right now, they've been kind of running away ever since our favorite C word that YouTube doesn't usually like people saying, the vid. Starts with a C, ends with vid. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are really stressed about inflation and the prices. One of the things I've noticed a lot of people complaining about were eggs, the prices of eggs.
The prices of eggs, yeah.
Yeah.
That have got crazy, yeah. And I love eggs.
I like eggs. I eat them every day. I don't love eggs.
Omelets, hard-boiled eggs.
I used to love eggs as a kid. It's like the first thing you learn to make, right?
Peanut butter jelly sandwich.
It was one of the first things I learned to make. If anyone else...
I guess it depends on where you grew up.
Yeah, learn to make an egg first on the stove. Put it in the comments. Let us know.
Advanced 4-year-olds making omelets. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, back to the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, so if you check out this chart by Forbes on the Fed rate hikes from 2022 to 2023, the point is to tame inflation. Those are that's the period of time of 14 months? How many months?
Yeah, since March 2022, so we're in May 2023, so we're at 14 months.
Yeah, 14 months of rate hikes. But not only that, it's been 10 rate hikes over 14 months.
Yeah.
So right now, the most current rate hike was on May 3rd. They had the meeting.
Yeah, it was 0.25 basis points.
Yes. So they added 0.25 basis points, and that raised the rate from 5% to 5.25%.
Yep.
Fed rate.
Which I read that is the highest since we have seen since 2007.
It's crazy.
And we all know what happened in 2008.
Yeah, it's really... If you're paying attention, you're feeling a little nervous.
Pay attention because it's good, but try not to pay too much.
Right. So, I mean, raising the rates, what does it impact, right? So, looking here, it impacts U.S. national debt, U.S. debt. Mm-hmm. Now they're talking about raising the debt ceiling because our debt has skyrocketed. Business profits. Businesses' bottom lines are falling flat.
Especially small businesses are getting destroyed.
Right. There's been a lot of businesses who are being filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And of course it raises inflation. Yeah. Of course it affects inflation. So to bring it down.
Christmas tree shop.
Yeah.
I saw that article. You sent it to me.
Yes. Beloved Christmas tree shop.
Rest in peace. Hopefully not. Maybe they'll just cut some stores.
Yeah, I believe they filed for Chapter 11, which means they're...
A restructure.
Yes, they want to restructure.
So did Bed Bath & Beyond.
Well, people think that Bed Bath is done, but...
I hope they're not.
They're just restructuring.
Hopefully.
Maybe. They were pretty important to U.S. store.
Yeah, they were in that movie, what was it, Click? With Adam Sandler.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he goes into a Bed Bath & Beyond, and that's where the movie starts.
Oh, wow.
He falls asleep on a mat in a bed, I think. Yeah, and that's when he click and he goes into himself into the future.
Wow.
Yeah. A little bit of pop culture for there.
Yeah. So if you look at this chart of the impact of the Fed interest rate change, you'll see that the chart follows the Fed's fund rate, bank prime loan rate, and 3-month CD mortgage rates, which basically is the savings. You can get a CD and put a savings account in it and hold it over time in the bank, right? So if they raise the interest rates goes up on everything across the board. Mm-hmm. That's how it affects you. So if you can see that it shows that the Fed's raising rates coincides with rates raising in bank savings accounts, general banking rates. Mm-hmm. The Fed. So basically, the Fed raises the rates. The banks make their prime loan rate, and then from that prime loan rate, they tack on the rates to all their products. The consumers, us.
We are the product.
We are the product, and we're also buying the product.
Mm-hmm.
So we are the product.
Yeah.
Yeah. And bank prime rates are generally 3% higher than the Fed rate. So if the Fed rate it's 5.25%.
We're talking over 8.
We're talking about over 8% prime bank rate.
And a prime bank rate.
And so that means now if you have credit card debt, you're getting buried. Tier. If you check out this list of bankruptcies, right? So you gotta, if you look, ever since they started raising rates, companies slowly started claiming bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And the more the rate has been going up, it's been picking up speed. So if you look at the chart, it's like May, you have Misguided in 2022, Misguided filed for bankruptcy. And I'm not saying that these are exactly specifically because of the rate hikes.
Linked.
But they're linked. It always matters. It's always relevant. So you have one company in May, you got one company in June, one company in July. Fast forward from 2022 to 2023, you got January, you got 3+ companies, you got 3+ companies in February, you got 3+ companies in April.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see the correlation / causation.
The dominoes.
Yeah. So
are starting to fall from all these rate hikes.
Yeah.
Even Burger King, another thing
Oh yeah, what's going? What did you hear about Burger King?
They're closing 400 stores. Well, their bottom 400 of their, I believe they have somewhere around 17,000 locations, which I guess isn't like a big percentage, but 400 locations is still a sizable enough to talk about and enough to be in the news. But yeah, they're closing the 400 of their bottom of less profitable locations.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Take away the less profitable locations, consolidate your expenses,
cutting the dead weight,
and try to survive what we believe
survival,
is the coming recession.
I think we're
in a recession. I think we're in a recession.
Yeah,
people want to argue.
Yeah, I just think that they don't really tell you. I mean, of course, if you're in the middle class, if you're in the working class, you always feel it. So it's kind of like, oh, what's changed? Other than the interest rates going up, and other than big companies and known companies closing, you won't feel that until later.
Yeah.
But I think the Federal Reserve kind of like not the Federal Reserve, the federal government kind of they kind of like kick the can down a little bit to not ensue panic.
Probably.
And to say like, oh yeah, we're not in a recession, so they kind of like, we've been in one for 3 or 4 months, and then they'll announce it.
Right.
Like even if we went to a depression, like you'd be able to tell, but like they would. I feel like they'd probably deny it for like 2 months.
I think that's what happened, because there was a period of time where they were just constantly denying that we're going into recession or that we're in a recession, and then they just couldn't hide it anymore. They just had to accept it. I can't exactly remember when that was per se, like when they officially came out and was like, did they ever? I wonder if they did. I'll post a thing. I'll post a little picture or whatever. But
yeah, but we've definitely been in a recession. For, I'd say at least 5-6 months. Yes,
and so one thing that you need to take into consideration, or that needs to be taken into consideration, is when the feds raise the rate. Mm-hmm. When Jerome Powell comes out and says, raise it again.
Hope there's a
25
pause.
basis points, 75 basis points. You're not going to feel that immediately. It takes time for that to cycle through the economy, and the pain. The pain.
To feel the pain.
It comes later.
Yeah.
Sort of like working out, like when you go to the gym and
and the next day you feel it.
Next day you really feel the pain. Uh-huh. So having rate hikes back to back like this, you're not accurately feeling what's happening to the economy in real time. And so maybe they raise the rate, and then next month they raise it again, but the pain hasn't really caught up. So by the time they raise the rate and we're still possibly just getting into the feeling, they raise it again.
Yeah.
So it's like a never-ending train of pain.
Tickets, please. Dude, I'm sure you've got like so many tickets at this point.
Train of pain. Yeah, I think we're going to be in economic rut until at least mid-2025.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. But there's a lot of contention, because some people, during this 14-month raising the rates to beat inflation and raising it 10 times, a lot of people were saying Jerome Powell's not being aggressive enough. Jerome's being too aggressive. And so now with this last one, a lot of institutions are very upset. A lot of analysts are very upset.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some people who back Jerome's and the Fed's decision to raise the rate.
Yeah.
But now they're saying, for example, if you look at this U.S. inflation rate chart, you can see the trend is that inflation is starting to go towards a downward. It has a downward trend again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're saying, and remember, think about it, how the rate, the feeling of the pain doesn't come until later. It's a residual pain or something like that, right? And so some people think that Jerome Powell being so aggressive with raising the rates as he has been, or as the Fed has been, is kind of like overkill and possibly could overshoot the 2% price target, 2% target range, right? And so, I mean, that's yet to be seen.
I mean, it's like the ideal.
This the ideal. It's like, okay, so now we're inflation, according to this chart, is in March is back down to 4.99%. Now, if you have a downward trend, it's 4.98% in March. We're now in May. 2 months have gone by. What does that mean? Are we gonna dip lower than that? What is that? That's like a little over 50%. You're looking for a 50% like ish slash, a little bit more than that. And so
on inflation,
yes. So we just don't know what's going to happen.
I hope they pause.
A lot of people are really afraid of a depression. And how many years?
Almost 100 years. Although, I mean, the first one technically ended 44, started in 29.
Yes. I believe so.
So we're almost at 100 years since the start of the last.
Right.
So 94 years. I mean, it's unfortunate to say, but I think it's inevitable.
Inevitable that it would happen?
I mean, eventually. I'm not saying like next year, but I think a depression, I mean, it's...
So that's the regular financial cycle. I mean, they're really desperately trying to avoid. Yeah, they're desperately trying to avoid it, but kicking the can down the road only has led us to where we are. I mean, obviously the vid.
Yeah, you got that helped in the printing of the money.
Printing because to help the economy.
The weakening of the dollar.
The way I picture it is like trying to balance on a board on water, like
choosing the lesser evil.
But like you get tilted and you're like scrambling and
because it's like, hey, we raise the rates, but inflation goes down, but it's also you create a credit crunch, then you create what we spoke about in our other video of the banking crisis. So it's like, all right, cool. Do we want lower inflation, but do we want to create a credit crunch and a banking crisis and things to go insolvent and people to panic ensuing panic for inflation?
Yeah. I mean,
so
I personally think we're making a beeline to a monetary reset. And I'm not sure exactly what that looks like. Oh, there's going to be
a big reset.
I've never experienced that in my lifetime.
No, none of us have, I don't think. A reset? There's definitely one coming.
So I wonder what would end up looking like, especially in modern day with modern day technology and how the shift of powers are that is happening right now because of the financial. Because remember, the United States economy is one of the strongest, or has been one of the strongest economies and leading factors in finance. We hold
we have the reserve currency.
We hold the reserve currency right now. And so if the US economy fails,
well, apparently every 94 years it switches.
Right. So
we're at 108 now.
We're at 108
because we have the petrodollar.
So it's about time, and we're really hurting. Like, they're raising the debt ceiling. Our debt is out of control. We have no money. We're broke.
That reminds me of, you said the debt ceiling, reminds me of Janet Yellen. Yeah, a couple of other YouTubers referenced her as everyone's favorite bingo grandma.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I think it was Keenan Grace and
That's not hilarious Charlie, for her, but...
What's his name? Charlie? Your favorite?
Oh, Zip Trader.
Zip Trader. Hey, watch Zip Trader if you don't know who he is.
Yeah, watch Zip Trader. Great educational content as well.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
So, I think basically the bottom line is like you have to protect yourself from a recession, from inflation, from depression, right? Protect yourself, protect your loved ones, make a plan, you know, move accordingly to protecting yourself. Basically that's what I'm saying. And so, I mean, some things you can do to do that are like build up an emergency fund, pay down high interest debt because those rates are up. And that debt is up now. You're gonna try to pay credit cards at originally at maybe like 8%. Well, now on top of whatever your
regular interest rate is.
Your regular interest rate is. It's gonna go up. So people have already been noticing. Double. Yeah, people have already been noticing the rates. You're trying to make payments, and now your minimum payments aren't good enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. Not that I use one, but I wouldn't be using a credit card unless it was an absolute emergency nowadays. Like an absolute emergency, like you had no money for gas and food and you need...
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to go buy a new pair of sneakers.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard, though. Sometimes people need that kind of like save you money, especially if it's not just themselves. And like, especially if, again, rates have been raising. So what does that affect? Housing, everything. Rental, everything. Gas, which fuels everything. Lending. And so, I mean, also live below your means. Do what you can do to live within and below your means.
Below.
Right. So cutting subscriptions, eating out less. I know a lot of people saying that eating clean is expensive, but go for more health vegetables. Vegetables are cheaper. Mm-hmm. And
indeed, you can get an insane amount of broccoli for cheap.
Yeah, invest in bulk foods. I mean, rice.
Non-perishables,
all that good stuff.
But
another way is to diversify your investments. So with the banking crisis, right, people are investing in things like gold. People think saying that's
on
ahead.
An all-time high.
Oh yeah. Ooh, gold. So get some gold.
I mean,
it's always been a financial staple because gold will always be something that is desired on a global basis and will always hold wealth. Right? So gold, put your money in a safe bank, do your research. Advice. Well, that's still like good advice. Like put it in a safe bank.
You know.
Yeah. You know what? Invest in your financial literacy. That's one of the best things you can do.
Within
what?
Within your financial literacy?
No, invest in your financial literacy. And,
okay.
And do some investments for long term. So a lot of people are looking at like blue chip companies that they know probably won't hurt them or other long term investments. A lot of people said that real estate is a long term investment.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if it's like the best investment to get into right now.
I mean, you get rich from owning real estate.
Yeah. You do. Real estate's a good investment.
And I'd say anything in the healthcare. Anything in the healthcare industry. Pharmaceutical companies, healthcare companies.
Yeah. Do your research.
Yeah, do your research first.
Do your due diligence and and maybe consult a financial advisor as to what the best moves are to make. Also, be honest about your risk tolerance with yourself. Like, don't make financial risks that you'll regret later once you find out that your money is worth less. Not worthless, but worth less.
Because of inflation.
The
forever tax.
Right. And keep an eye on your credit score and your current credit rates, especially if you own credit.
If you can get credit.
So.
In a credit crunch.
Are they going to get rid of the credit? I've heard that they're going to get rid of the credit scores.
I've heard. Yeah, I mean, there are other systems in place that are all around the world where they don't have like a credit number system.
Yeah.
It's just like a history of your credit, but I don't really know how they lend money out.
Yeah, so, I mean, the credit, I don't know if credit scores are going to be relevant if our economy crashes. No, right? No. So, I mean, they've already raised the credit score.
Like isn't the highest 850 now?
It's 850 now. I remember I logged in because I monitor my credit score, and I was like, "Wait a minute!"
Wasn't the highest 800?
It was 800.
Now it's 850.
Now it's 850, and it's kind of like being told, when you submitted a project and you got a decent grade,
now
and then you come back and
A
it's like,
plus.
Yeah, now there's like, well, now you have a C or a B minus in comparison to what you could have. Yeah, it's like this arbitrary moving of numbers and stats. But anyway, yeah, that's that. That's the Federal Reserve. That's the federal rate hikes. It's a really heavy issue in the news right now.
Oh, it is the news.
It is the news. It's your future.
It is.
It's the future of America.
Of the world.
Well, we'll stay tuned, keep watching, keep you informed, do our best to understand what's going on so you can understand what's going on and keep you up to date with what's going on. I don't know what else to say about that.
And what's going on?
We need to know what's going on because a lot of us are like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Why can't I pay for anything? Why do eggs cost a lung?
Eggs again.
Eggs. Yeah, I mean,
that should be the name of the episode.
That was like a huge thing.
Eggs. And you're like, what?
Episode Eggs.
Huevos.
The final count. The final egg down. No, the final yolk down.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not good with the dad jokes.
Well, anyways, to wrap things up.
Thanks for tuning in. And I hope this was educational. I hope you learned a lot. I hope it helps you out. If there's any other questions you have, leave any questions or comments. Let us know.
Questions, comments, and concerns in the comments section below.
Yeah, in the comments section below. If you want any references to any of this information or you want to talk about it with your family and let your loved ones know or the people you care about, they're in the description box so you can educate yourself a little bit more. Remember, your financial literacy is your financial future. So, and this is not financial advice. It's financial entertainment.
Financial entertainment. All right, so we'll see you on the next episode. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a great night.
Bye.